Most people wait all year for one day to feel seen. But some people wake up on their birthday and feel nothing. No excitement, no countdown. No urge to post, celebrate, or even mention it. And if you're honest, you've probably wondered why that is. Or maybe you're one of them. The kind of person who lets the day pass like any other Tuesday. But here's the uncomfortable question most people never ask. What does it actually say about someone who treats their own existence anniversary like it doesn't matter? Because birthdays aren't really about cake or gifts. Psychologically, they're about permission. Permission to be important. Permission to take up space. Permission to be acknowledged. For most people, that day becomes a mirror reflecting their worth through other people's attention. So when someone avoids it, minimizes it, or shrugs it off, the brain isn't just being casual. It's revealing something deeper about how that person learned to value themselves. Often it starts early. Some children grow up in homes where birthdays were inconsistent, forgotten, or overshadowed by chaos. No big moment, no feeling of being special. Over time, the mind adapts. It stops expecting celebration because expecting leads to disappointment. And what the brain does brilliantly is turn that emotional defense into a personality trait. I don't care about birthdays. I'm not into that stuff. It's just another day. But under that calm surface is a learned survival strategy. If you don't hope, you can't be let down. For others, it's the opposite. Their birthdays were acknowledged, but in ways that made them uncomfortable. Too much attention. Too many expectations. The pressure to perform happiness. To smile when you don't feel it. To respond perfectly to every message. So the brain connects birthdays with emotional labor. With being watched. With being evaluated. And eventually the nervous system decides the safest move is to make the day invisible. There's also the quiet link to self-worth that most people don't realize they're carrying. When you deeply believe you don't deserve special treatment, celebrating yourself feels wrong. It feels indulgent. It feels embarrassing. You might even feel guilty when people try to make a fuss over you. Not because you don't like them, but because some part of you doesn't believe you've earned that level of care. And here's where it gets complicated. Many people who downplay their birthdays are high-functioning, responsible, and emotionally independent. They're often the ones who show up for others, remember everyone else's important dates, and rarely ask for anything in return. On the surface, they look strong. But psychologically, they've often trained themselves to survive without needing recognition. Which sounds powerful, until you realize it usually started as emotional self-protection. The brain keeps track of patterns. If you learned early on that your needs weren't consistently met, you likely became someone who stopped making needs visible. You became the low-maintenance one, the one who doesn't make a big deal, the one who says it's fine when it's not. Treating your birthday like a normal day becomes part of that same pattern. It's not about the day. It's about minimizing your presence to avoid disappointment, conflict, or vulnerability. But there's another layer most people never see. Birthdays are a reminder of time passing, of aging, of life moving forward whether you're ready or not. For some people, that triggers reflection. Did I become who I thought I would? Am I where I wanted to be? Did I waste time? Did I miss chances? And instead of facing those uncomfortable thoughts, the mind avoids the day entirely. If I don't mark it, I don't have to measure my life against it. This is why some people feel oddly heavy on their birthday, even when nothing bad happens. The day quietly forces a psychological inventory. And if you're not satisfied with where you are, the celebration feels fake. Like putting balloons on a room you're not happy living in. There's also the fear of being forgotten. Some people act like they don't care about birthdays because deep down, they're terrified no one will remember. And the brain does a clever trick. If I say I don't care, then it won't hurt as much if no one shows up. It's emotional cushioning. Lower the expectation so the fall isn't painful. What makes this fascinating is how automatic it becomes. You're not consciously choosing to be detached. Your nervous system is running an old program designed to keep you safe from emotional discomfort. And the more years you repeat it, the more it feels like your personality instead of a coping mechanism. You might even judge people who go all out for their birthdays. Call them attention-seeking, childish, needy. But often that judgment is your brain protecting you from wanting what you learned you couldn't to reliably have. It's easier to dismiss celebration than to admit you'd like to feel important too. Here's where it gets really personal. If you're someone who treats your birthday like nothing, ask yourself this quietly. Do you struggle to ask for help? Do you feel uncomfortable being the center of attention, even in positive ways? Do you tend to downplay your achievements? Do you feel awkward receiving compliments? If so, the birthday isn't the issue. It's just one place where a deeper pattern shows up. The pattern of shrinking yourself emotionally so you don't become a burden. The pattern of independence that was born from having to be strong too early. The pattern of not wanting to need anyone because needing once led to pain. And none of this means something is wrong with you. It means your mind adapted brilliantly to the environment it grew up in. But adaptation isn't the same as preference. Many people confuse the two. They say they prefer not celebrating, when in reality, their nervous system learned not to expect care. As you move through adulthood, this shows up in relationships too. You might attract people who take your low expectations as permission to give less. You might be the one who pours effort into others while quietly accepting crumbs for yourself. Because deep down, that feels familiar. The birthday becomes symbolic. It's the one day where it would be socially acceptable to want attention, to want care, to want to feel special. And if that feels uncomfortable or unnecessary to you, it reveals how deeply you've trained yourself not to want. Some people even feel a strange emptiness on their birthday that they can't explain. They wake up heavy, restless, irritable, or numb. It's not sadness exactly. It's the emotional echo of years of unmet needs surfacing all at once. The brain recognizes the day as significant even if you consciously pretend it's not. Others go the extreme opposite and overwork on their birthday, distract themselves, or stay busy to avoid feeling anything at all. Because slowing down might allow old emotions to rise up. Feelings of being unseen, uncelebrated, unchosen. And then there are those who truly believe they don't matter enough to be celebrated, not in a dramatic way, just in a quiet background assumption about themselves. Like a program running under everything else. They show up for others, keep things running, hold everything together, but never feel worthy of being the reason people gather. What is powerful is realizing that the way you treat your birthday is often the way you treat your own emotional needs year-round. If you ignore the one day meant for you, how many other moments do you quietly put yourself last? This isn't about forcing yourself to throw parties or post pictures. It's about noticing the reflex to minimize yourself. The instinct to say it doesn't matter. The discomfort with being cared for. Those reactions were learned. And what was learned can be unlearned. But here's the unsettling part most people never face. If you've spent years pretending you don't need recognition, affection, or celebration, your brain may have buried those desires so deep that you can't even feel them anymore. You don't miss what you taught yourself not to want. And that numbness can quietly leak into every area of life. Relationships that feel distant. Achievements that feel empty. Moments that should feel joyful but don't quite land. Not because you're broken, but because you trained yourself to emotionally survive instead of emotionally receive. So when your birthday comes and goes like any other day, it might not mean you're mature, independent, or low maintenance. It might mean your nervous system is still protecting a younger version of you who learned that wanting more hurt too much. And here's the part that sits with people long after they hear it. The way you treat yourself on the one day meant to celebrate your existence often reflects how deeply you believe you deserve to be seen every other day of your life. Not loudly, not with balloons and cake, but with presence, care, attention, and love. So if your birthday feels like nothing, Ask yourself gently what else in your life you've taught yourself not to feel. Because sometimes the people who say it's just another day are the same people who quietly learned they were just another person. And realizing that might be the first moment you finally stop treating yourself that way.